It's critical to human species survival at this point. The convenience of the inefficiency that we endured from the early onsets of the free market system in a much more simplistic reality, it no longer exists. It's an entirely different paradigm shift. The evolution of this system has shown its colors as parasitic and destructive, and I think this is very clear. And again, I'm not going to go on those tangents. So a planned system, a calculated society. Does that mean it's like Soviet Russia, where there's a bunch of people in a state and they sit there and tell everyone what they can have and what they don't know? Well, we have something very different in society today that can facilitate public interaction, that can mirror the exact type of creativity we see in the market system without the incentive of money, while also preserving the integrity of the structured necessities that we need. In other words, doing things right, doing things scientifically, not based on what money will allow us to do or not allow us to do. I want everyone to walk outside and take a look at the stores around them if you live in an urban area, if you're driving to a mini mall or something to that effect. And I want you to think to yourself when you enter these environments how it would work in a resource-based economy. The first thing you'll notice if you think this way is you'll see the great deal of overlap and duplicity and inefficiency. The competitive concept of, say, having 15 cell phone companies is exceedingly wasteful, and through the competitive mechanism of cost efficiency, it generates planned obsolescence, intrinsic obsolescence, because they can't use correct materials. The designs are always overlapping because of competition, or again planned obsolescence in the sense of like Apple. They have many stages of release, extremely wasteful company. And when you begin to recognize the unsustainable nature of store structures and corporate structures, a certain rationale will eventually take you over. You say, okay, there's no reason for all these cell phone companies. Get everyone together creatively and to create the best and continually produce the best. You need one cell phone company, one good manufacturer that deals with a very specific design, and they work to improve that design constantly based on sustainability and performance and endurance, of course. Everything that goes along with that from a sustainable standpoint. When you begin to think like this and begin to look at what society is around you, you can see how it can be grouped together, made much more simplistic. The question then becomes, how do these organizations, how do these people obtain the resources that they need? We'll continue with the cell phone company example. As we know, the cell phone has many different forms of minerals, and from gold to cobalt to a lot of different things. Depending on the way it's manufactured, there are chemical processes that are required too. So you have an extraction, you have a production, and then eventually a distribution process. We won't get to the distribution issue. That's fairly easy. How is this allocated? Well, very simply, if any organization wants to create this, they are basically a part of the community that seeks it. There is a demand for such a thing, and therefore people are brought in to create those things because of their interest or their expertise. This can be navigated very easily through a submission system, and very similar to what we have using the internet right now. This can be orchestrated very, very easily as far as resource management through our central database program, which we mentioned at length, which will tell everyone in a completely open source way, meaning all the information is available to everyone. There's no hidden proprietary anything. What is possible? And the engineers engage that system of AI, very, very simple. Again, AI is nothing complicated or spooky. Delegating your ideas, delegating your decision making, to machines is something we do every single day, from a spell check to a calculator. Those that are so Luddite and paranoid of some Skynet Terminator thing, you really need to step back and begin to think about where our interaction with these machines comes in. It can get a little spooky when we think about singularity, but I'm not going to go through all of the Ray Kurzweil stuff, and I don't necessarily buy all of the assumptions about what humans have to do. But let's just remember that technology is a tool, and we can utilize these tools and nothing to be afraid of. The worst example of people that don't understand the movement or the Venus Project is that they think it's like a giant computer that runs everything, and that's not true. That's a ridiculous notion. It's a system of interaction with a database that can make proper associations to help our decision making. So if we're engineering a cell phone, if we're creating an institution that will provide cellular phones for the community, They engage this system to know what resources are available. The people are brought in that have an interest to do so and have an expertise to do so. And that can easily be engaged through the same type of system. People often assume that someone overarching was making all these decisions. And while that might be partially true, just like you go to a dentist, you respect authority, just like you go to a doctor, you respect authority, just like you might go to a microbiologist if there's something going on with pollution in an ocean somewhere, authority is always something that has existed. Our fear of authority has kind of, well, it's legitimately manifest because of distortions of the market system. But we got to remember that technical authority is simply a position of someone's intellect over someone else's, someone who's taken more time. And as spooky as it may sound, like it's hard to jump around here, eventually that type of authority will be communicated by machines with far higher accuracy than what humans are doing. This is the evolution, and machines are a beautiful tool for this type of navigation. So coming back to my free market model, can we create the type of variety that we see around us? That's another thing. Can we have the unique abundance of everything that we see around us? And the answer is a big glaring yes. There's no reason that you have to have rigid uniformity. There's no reason that the models that have existed prior have to exist in the same way. It all comes down to what people want and the way that the engineering process is created and the production process is created. One thing that is occurring as well, and again, I'm jumping all around here, so if you're not familiar with this stuff, please bear with me. Modular robotics that have the capacity to change themselves, will enable customization of goods unlike anything ever seen. As talked about in Zeitgeist moving forward, we're dealing with a new type of three-dimensional print culture where customized printing can happen in your home, where you can print your own clothes, you can print small items for yourself, to the customization of printing to factories. So you have an automated factory in the center of a town. You get an email from somebody who has a particular design for, say, I don't know, a chair, a custom chair that's ergonomically designed to benefit, say, a back problem you might have. You send this email which has the blueprint, which is literally downloaded, three-dimensional, has all the specifics technically built into this. You send it to an automated factory directly from your computer. It's produced for you in custom due to robotics that can be extremely malleable. This is all technology that exists today. So the concept of mass production, where suddenly everything has to be uniform and the same, that isn't really the way it is if you analyze where we are today with the state of technology. The printing revolution is going to be incredible once that takes hold, As far as distribution centers and things like that, there's a certain uniformity that is fine, and who cares really when you're dealing with utility. If I need a really nice camera to go shoot a film and I go to a distribution hub and I borrow that camera and do what I need to and return it, I don't really care about customizing that. I just want it to be as advanced as possible, and there's no reason why it shouldn't be. But when it comes to customization and everything that we consider novel, again, it's this argument of novelty and originality, which is, of course, really exploited by the marketing culture because that's one of its biggest selling points. We should pull away from that anyway. I mean, there's nothing wrong with uniformity. It's what's in your brain, not what you wear or what your house looks like, that makes you unique. These are things that people forget when they analyze the market system. So let me summarize this because I know I've jumped all over the place.